So we go down there, and one day he's talking about the plants and the ages of the world, and he's saying it's like 10 million years. So I was like, I'm not, when you, sometimes you be brought, you're just not rap tight. Everything comes over, wait, 10 million? Wait, that's not what I said, how do you get to 10 million? How do you know the world's that old? So when we go by the compression of rocks, rings in the trees, he's doing all that. So I should have just stopped right there. I go, well, couldn't the weight of water sped up the process of compression so that you really think it's older than what it really is? Can sing your song. And the student's like, the student's scratching their head, but not the atheist professor. Right. East Indian guy. He said, you're talking about the flood, aren't you? That's what he asked me. And the other students, the flood, what flood? What flood? What happened? This is how God will set you up. He said, the atheist professor said, you stand up and tell the class about the flood. And one day you just get selected. That's what we're about to find in this lesson. It's just your turn. You didn't prepare for it. You didn't do any schooling for it. God just puts you on the spot and said, well, I need you to say something right now. Now, what am I saying to you? God selects you for a reason. When he's under Pharaoh, out and he slugs him a couple of people, he kills them, right? Because that's his start. But God didn't say that Moses had to kill the Egyptians one by one. That's a long process. Here's what Patriarchs and Prophets says. God had to put Moses in Midian, watch this now, to unlearn the things that he was taught in Egypt. So instead of being proud, Moses now becomes, as the Bible declares him, the meekest man on earth. Right? Now he's ready. Right? So now I'm about to prove to you that it doesn't matter what state you're in, because Moses is 80 years old when he goes back to Egypt to deliver the people. Now I don't know if there's an 80-year-old here tonight, but I know you don't have an excuse.
There you go. All right.
You don't have an excuse not to do anything for God, because he sent Moses. In fact, he took Moses away at 40 and taught him 40 years to unlearn everything, and then sent him back to be the deliverer at 80. Just when you think Moses is a senior citizen, God sends him back here. So why has God selected you? You can't even point to your flaws, right? From that statement right there. You can't even point to your flaws. You can't say you cripple. You can't say you can't see. You can't say you can't read. There's nothing you can say that God won't open the door for you. All right, he goes on to say, God doesn't do greater things exclusively through just great people. He does them through anyone who is willing to trust him in greater ways. How would you describe your level of trust in God's ability to do great things in you or through you? God will take you because of your attitude to say, use me the way you want to use me. First Kings 19:47. Watch what's happening, because I just described that bad junked up car, but I got a new one out. Watch this. Here is Elijah. Remember I told you, who was that back there? My brother back there. You were up. What's your name? Bill. You were up. You dropped down, and I asked you to. But the question tonight is, can you get back up? Can God do a greater thing for you? Elijah has just called down fire, licked up the stuff, and Jezebel said, "The way you kill my prophets, tomorrow evening at the same time, you're gonna be the same way." Right. She's gonna do him in. Right. Now this is Elijah, whom God demonstrated a big thing. Yeah. Right? Because I'm coming to a point of Seventh-day Adventists when they leave church service. Right? Oftentimes your highest spiritual experience is met by the threat of the devil that you will dive into depression. Elijah takes off and runs. Now he just saw 450, 700 prophets he killed.
Yes. Yes. Right.
This one lady He had the book, right? He said, Lord, I've had enough. Now, how many of y'all said that? Remember I told you the opening night, you feel tired. Lord, I've had enough. Now watch this now. Tell this to everybody that tries to think they can just end their life on their own. He says to God, take my life, for I am no better than my ancestors who have already died. How did this guy who just 2 days ago do the greatest thing? I'm going to rain down fire, God's calling it, the prophets of Baal, he killed them all, God's going to do you all that, he does all that fantastic. You and I read about it today and say, man, God is masterful.
Yes.
Now he's ready to die.
Yes. Amazing.
Your biggest praise service, your biggest miracles that you've done, your biggest thing you've done in church.
No God.
You go home and there's some news that'll just spin you down to depression. Elijah, who was a great prophet, is now depressed. Because depressed people, they just want to end it. It's just over. Life is gone. So the Bible says, he said, Lord, take my life. He had no guts to do it himself. He said, Lord, you take it. Then he lay down and slept under the juniper tree.
Right.
You know, depressed people sleep all the time.
Yeah.
Right? But as he was sleeping, y'all got that? So I'm talking about God selected you. But as he was sleeping, an angel touched him and told him, get up. Right? And eat. Then the angel of the Lord came again and touched him and said, get up and eat some more. Yeah, that's a great potluck right there.
Yeah.
Or, it's really supposed to say, for the journey ahead will be too much for you. Right?
Yeah.
Was God finished with Elijah?
Sure. No.
Was God finished with Elijah? You can't like throwing in the towel.
Yes.
Because God still has plans.
Hey, come on now.
And you might be as depressed as you want because this person going to do you in to cut off your ministry.
Mm-hmm.
But God is saying, no, get up.
Yes.
I got more stuff for you to do.
Right.
In fact, it's not even, as you find out later, it's not even in my plan that you should even die.
That's right. Yeah.
I got a better plan for you. Now, wasn't that better that he just ride up in a chariot?
That's right. That's right.
That sounds like a better plan to me. God always has something better than our plans in our head. God selects you because of his plan, not your feelings. He's not dependent on your feelings. God selects you because he got a plan. And he's trying to work the plan, and he has selected you in his plan. In spite of how you feel. We're going by our feelings. As you know. Let me get on up in that church. Get on up and gonna be the same hymn. Gonna be the same stuff, you know. I know they gonna sing that thing again. I can sing that song without even looking in the hymnal. You know, cause it's just. But God doesn't care. You can sing that same hymn 100 more times. That's not what he's basing his plan on. I was gonna say God sometimes get tired of our hymns, but he doesn't. Didn't y'all sing that last week? You got a new testimony for me?
Yeah.
He chooses you in the midst of your depression. He didn't wait for you to come out of it and then say, I'm gonna choose. And he didn't choose you before you went in it. He chooses you while you're in the middle of your depression.
Yeah.
Right? He chooses you in the midst of your loneliness. He's not waiting for you to find a companion.
No.
He said, I'm here.
Right.
And I'm choosing you right now in the midst of your loneliness. He chooses you in the midst of your fatigue. Just tired, dragged out. He still has greater plans for you.
You were created for a reason and chosen for a season. So never feel your gift is just too small. Never feel like what you have is least of all. No one else can preach your sermons. No one else can sing your song. No one else could ever do what God